He said that I am a kafir.
They did.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الكريم وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. Now in this video I want to talk about Sheikh Imran Hussein, right? And he was recently interviewed by Delhi Hussein, and the interview became quite controversial. But I don't want to do any personal comments about his personality, right? But what I want to say, I want to talk about the general rulings, and I'm not a sheikh, but I've learned this from my sheikh, Hafidhullah, that the takfeer, the first matter is the takfeer, right? Some people have done his takfeer, and the takfeer is a very sensitive issue, right? I know what he said is a very borderline thing, right? Because the Quran is quite straightforward in this matter when the Quran says لقد كفر الذين قالوا إن الله هو المسيح ابن مريم لقد كفر الذين قالوا إن الله ثالث ثلاثة. And obviously Quran addresses this clearly, that Christians are not Muslims, right? But he has his own interpretation. Now what I want to talk about is what I learned from my sheikh, and just to enhance your knowledge, right, and my knowledge also, because usually people don't talk about the aqidah, right? So what I would suggest first is that you should learn aqidah from some sheikh, from someone who is learned in this matter, because now the more we have this social media and knowledge spreading, the less people read and the less people are actually connected to a sheikh, right? So aqidah is a very sensitive matter, and calling someone a kafir is even a more sensitive matter, because the Prophet ﷺ clearly said that if you call someone a kafir, which Imran Hussein alluded to, that the Prophet ﷺ said, if you call someone a kafir and then he's not a kafir in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then one of you is, right? And he was even cautious in saying this, that the person who is saying that the other person is kafir becomes a kafir. So you have to be very careful when. So this is what my sheikh says, that the serious ulama, they have promised to themselves not to point at someone and call that person a kafir, right? So the subtleties are we should leave this to the ulama, to the serious ulama, not the takfiri ulama, but the ulama that there were ulama in our history that who would go to that person, ask them more details, interview them in more detail, and then issue a fatwa. But this is obviously a matter of a qadi or a mufti to do that, right? But what I want to tell you is that there is something called bid'ah in aqidah, right? If someone is coming up with a bid'ah in aqidah, whether it's an aqidah that goes against the fundamentals of Islam, then also the ulama have to decide whether this is whether that person, because he's on the borderline. He says that he considers Christians to be non-Muslims, but the Orthodox, Eastern Orthodox, are not like the usual Christians, or something like that. He has his own interpretation. But something to again, for your knowledge, is that what I learned from my sheikh is that there was a time in, for example, history of India, of Hindustan, where some of the ulama called the Hindus as Ahlul Kitab, right? And this is why some of the Mughals started marrying into the Hindu religion, right? So again, that's so when someone says something new, right, the ulama have to sit down and see whether what he said goes against the fundamentals of Islam, or it's something new that person has introduced in bid'ah, in aqidah, that is bid'ah in aqidah, right? And so when it's bid'ah in aqidah, that person is kicks himself out of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, right? And so it's a very subtle matter. Just we should leave it to the ulama, people who, especially who haven't learned aqidah from scholars. They shouldn't get into this matter, because the hadith is very clear and it's very sensitive. So some of the ulama, because of that hadith, they promise to themselves that they're never going to point to anyone and call him or her a kafir. So that's one matter that I wanted to clarify, right? For those who are students like me, right? I'm not a scholar, but I'm a student.